It has been raining outside, and the weather is perfect for reading a classic. Is it? But I started Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. This is my first Jane Austen. I was thinking of reading her chronologically because I have her Sense and Sensibility and also Northanger Abbey. I don't know which one comes first though, but Pride and Prejudice is definitely not her first book. I love how witty this book is. I'm enjoying, and I'm also giggling during the scenes between Darcy and Elizabeth. I'm now on page number 48. This is, I believe, chapter. These chapters are very short, which is so nice. Yeah, I'm on chapter 10. So far, we can already see the difference in the status of Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth, and it kind of is manifesting in a very not a fun way as Darcy's friend Mr. Bingley, the guy who basically comes to the neighborhood of the Bennet family, and he's the guy that Elizabeth's mom wants to get one of her daughters married to. So Elizabeth has come in contact with the sisters of Mr. Bingley, and they're not nice to her. Well, I mean, they're not happy with how outspoken she is. And there was a scene where Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth had their first misunderstanding. Mr. Darcy was trying to say that the society has very shallow standards for women to call them accomplished, and so he was basically pointing out his high expectation of how the woman has to be cultured, grateful, intellectual, blah blah blah. So to that, Elizabeth kind of calls him out and says that no such woman exists. She was basically pointing out the irony of these people having way too much expectation from women, but it was misunderstood as her hating her own gender. And I like this kind of tension. It feels like both of these people are challenging each other. I mean, is Darcy really being challenged? Because the guy is kind of already into her. So there's a line which says that he began to wish to know more of her, and as a step towards conversing with her himself, attended to her conversation with others. His doing so drew her notice. I'm sorry, but I think he's just socially awkward and he doesn't know how to approach his crush, which is adorable. And like, these are the scenes which have been making me giggle, and I love it. I have made some progress. I'm now currently on page number 184 or 85. Yeah, I'm now on page number 185, and this is chapter 34. I have reached the point where Mr. Darcy says, "In vain have I struggled. It will not do. My feelings will not be repressed. You must allow me to tell you how ardently, I can't English, I admire and love you." I'm sorry, but like that just kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, dude, throughout the book, you have tried to control your feelings, and now you just randomly tell her that you love her. When you could have just, like being sweet to her and like try to make her like you. But no, you were like being a this edgelord or something like that, and such an introverted thing to do, honestly. I don't remember at which point I last updated, but I believe this is my second update to the vlog. I'm having so much fun reading this book. I love how Austen's writing is able to describe things so vividly. Like, I just like how her writing includes the social commentary. It's not just her commenting on things, but her actually showing you through dialogues of how these characters are like, the one who is on top of hierarchy cannot stop talking about themselves, while the one down the hierarchy cannot stop about the high on the hierarchy person. Like, it's also able to give you a lot of character insight. Like, I just love Lizzie so much. She's brilliantly written, and Darcy. So, in the first 140 pages, I kept on seeing how Mr. Darcy, just by breathing, was able to make people annoyed by him. The guy is being hated left and right by doing nothing. Did he like became this unintentional rage baiter or something like that? Just because he's not engaging with other people, and he has mentioned that he feels quite uncomfortable talking to new people, especially if he doesn't know them. I guess he's kind of shy about going up to other people. I feel the same. But the way the social structure kind of tells us that we are so quick to decide who someone is, one interaction and the first impression itself is enough to help us forming this conclusion about a person. And yeah, Darcy kind of comes off as someone proud. He's a little distant and sometimes rude. I guess he does has a tendency of saying things directly. And this tendency to judge quickly is kind of like makes sense too, because our brains are wired to do this, to read people fast, to decide if someone is safe, whether they're familiar or worth trusting. But the problem is that something which helps us surviving also makes us misunderstand other people. And once we have already decided who someone is, we just stop looking any further, and we stop allowing them to even change. And maybe That's why Darcy is kind of frustrating in the beginning, not because he's difficult, but because he just doesn't fit into this category of someone who is very pleasant. Because just him being this socially awkward and introverted is making other people judge him so harshly. And I can't help but relate with him because I'm also quite socially awkward. And when I don't meet with people or I don't say hello to random guest in my house, my mom is like, "Oh, you're so arrogant," and blah, blah, blah. I never thought I would relate with a guy from I don't know which century, but I am relating with the guy. Other than that, a big misunderstanding has taken place. And the timing of his confession, bro, no. Gosh, I I'm loving this. And recently I also watched its 2005 adaptation. I think it was my second time watching it. I watched it with my friend who recently visited me. We really enjoyed watching the movie together. Thought wise, a lot has happened already, and I'm not really sure whether I want this vlog to be spoiler filled or not. I mean, this is a classic which a lot of people have already read, and there are a lot of people yet to read. So I don't know, but I'll just give you some spoilers. I think I've already given you some spoilers. So, here the reason why I say that Mr. Darcy is having this bad timing issue because just now Elizabeth or Lizzie realized that the reason why Jane and Mr. Bingley were separated was because of Mr. Darcy, because of what she heard from the other person, and it's probably true. I mean, it is true if you watch the movie. And I wonder how in the book he's going to redeem himself because bro, like you literally like drove away like two lovers. Wow, for a moment I was like, what the fuck am I saying? He drove away two lovers, and obviously it's Elizabeth's sister and she really cares about her sister Jane. The drama is kind of interesting too because Mr. Bingley's sister wants to get married to Mr. Darcy and she wants Mr. Darcy's younger sister to marry Mr. Bingley. It's very interesting how the nature of Mr. Wickham's is being discussed in the book compared to the movie because it's kind of revealed around the end the nature of Mr. Wickham. I don't know if he's going to run away with Elizabeth's sister or not. Good morning. Today is a new day and I have some new updates and I'm having my morning tea. Around 4 a.m. today, I finally finished reading Pride and Prejudice and I am such a big fan of this book. I absolutely had so much fun reading this book. First of all, I'm so proud of myself for finally reading a Jane Austen book. I really love how the whole theme of pride and prejudice is being addressed in the book. And I think what Austen was trying to do was definitely to make us understand that, first impressions are never really, there's a pigeon in front of me. Um, she was basically trying to talk about how the first impressions of someone doesn't really tell us everything about the person, and it's also about how Mr. Darcy actually puts efforts into changing his attitude and changing his ways of behaving for love. And it also talks about how accepting that, you can be wrong at times is not really a bad thing, especially in terms of love. The pride and the prejudice of this book, it made sense. And I absolutely loved Lizzie. And Mr. Darcy, he redeemed himself. Like, I don't know why, but I kind of relate with him a lot. And I really like the guy. But the mother, oh my god, the mother and Lydia, Mrs. Bennet and Lydia, they honestly, I can understand Lizzie and how embarrassing it is to have such family members. I really love that this book wasn't trying to, put the families in a very positive light. It was sure, like, there was a lot of comments about their class and, the status of their family, but Elizabeth wasn't like naive to ignore the problems of the family, like her mom's desperation and even Lydia's childishness. And because of her, they almost had such a huge issue in the society, which could have like led to such huge problems with the other sisters too. And I'm able to relate with that a lot because it's such a common practice here in India. Oh my god, I love Lizzie for standing her ground around the time when Lady Catherine comes and she's like, do you promise me to not be engaged with my niece or nephew? Yeah, nephew. Elizabeth is like, I don't think I really owe you anything to promise you that. And I love that. That specific scene is like one of the best scenes of the book because we already knew that Elizabeth is brave and very blunt. And Mr. Darcy loves that about her. The book is all about statuses and, like, looking for husbands and the hierarchy and whatnot. But when someone who's from the upper hierarchy is trying to put her down, she stands her ground and she actually doesn't submit, like, obviously that kind of makes her a bit controversial because she's not as amiable as she should be. I learned a new word. Can you see that? Also, like the romance part was quite adorable because it doesn't really happens a lot in the presence of the other person. Like there are cute moments when they're together, but then a lot of it also happens, like the yearning and everything like that, when the person is not present. And I do think that the 2005 movie adaptation is the perfect adaptation for this book. A movie doesn't has to be absolutely similar to the book. Both of these mediums are quite different from each other. And did it take me almost 1 month to finish Pride and Prejudice? Yes, it did, but it was worth it, honestly. So, in that 1 month, I also read Project Hail Mary. First of all, I'm not a science fiction person. I have often avoided science fiction, even in anime. I still haven't watched Steins Gate, I think. I tried and I still haven't finished watching it, but I heard it's very peak, so I should. When you talk about this specific book, I think it's the perfect book for nerds like me who wants to know every single thing, even if I don't get it. I mean, you just have to describe it or teach it to me properly, in terms that I can understand. So it's literally about the teaching skills. But in this case, the book is so accessible that you can understand what it's trying to do, and that's like one of the best parts about it. And also, the main character is supposed to be a school teacher, right? So he can actually explain things so well. This book is about this middle school teacher who suddenly wakes up from a coma and he doesn't remember where he is, and he realizes that he's the only person in this space mission where it's only just one way ticket and there's no way to go back to the earth. So, what's going on? No idea. Basically, the sun is dying, and before the earth cools down, the food chain will break down and a lot of people will die. I really like the way it kind of framed the nature of humanity because it showed how dependent we are on each other and how, the companionship aspect kind of plays around. This book is not really just about the science. Yeah, it does has high stakes and whatnot, but it's also about friendship and how loneliness can drive us insane and the beauty of companionship. And the more we're getting modern, the more highly individualistic we are becoming. That I feel like a lot of us cannot tolerate other people that much. I mean, I literally went to the theater early in the morning to avoid crowd. And during a weekday, by the way, I was happy about it, but still, like, I still would rather go to around that time so that I won't be disturbed. I think emphasis on friendship and platonic love and care about someone and the idea of sacrificing yourself for someone else is something very profound and beautiful. That's the thing, right? It's all about us being connected to each other, whether it's through biology or through social norms and whatever. It's so beautiful how we are made of all these chemicals, all these cells and stuff like that, and how interconnected we are with each other. The best part is that throughout the book, our main character is using logic and reasoning to come up with solutions instead of like having this great grand power, but it's just simple things. The main character, Ryland, he never trusted himself enough. Like, the guy is confident enough to fight for his opinions, but he's thought of himself something who's not that great and he can't really doing these things because, he's just a school teacher, like kind of a failure. He underestimated himself and chose the safest path so that he could avoid failure altogether. He's the one who's there to save the world at the end of the day. We often believe that we have nothing meaningful to offer when it's not really true. Maybe we're just not in the position that is asking for it from us. By the way, the audiobook for this book is absolutely amazing, and in case you're planning to read this book, listen to the audiobook. And the movie too is great. I had such a good time and I love Rocky. So I guess that's it for this vlog. Thank you so much for watching until the end. It means a lot and hopefully I'll get better with filming more. So I'll see you later. Bye.